Yo guys, my name is Jasper and today we're playing Planet Zoo, in which I just, you know what, I actually think, because I haven't played this game yet, let's just quickly start with the career mode, because I just really have heard quite good things about it. So let's start. Goodwin house. And this is the one that already was available in the beta. I haven't played the beta, but I have watched quite a lot of YouTubers like Jonty or Best in Slot or Rudy, and they were just making really good things, mostly in that one franchise world they had, but also kind of like in this, because simply if you do this, it's just sandbox.
Heyo at Hematu. Yeah. Sorry about that. I have a habit of slipping back into the Planko language. It's good to finally meet you in person. I'm Bernard, although I insist you call me Bernie. The only person who calls me Bernard is my wife. And even then, only when I've tracked elephant dung into the carpets. As you know, I own several zoos, but I always like to show people the ropes here at my home. This is the first zoo I ever opened, and a source of great pride for me. And prides, thanks to a lion breeding program we ran in the 80s. But we're in the middle of a big renovation, and that's where you come in. Sadly, our old contractor had to retire after developing a fur allergy. Poor devil kept sneezing his dentures into the lion habitat. So, it's up to you to finish everything off. Don't worry though, I'm not completely throwing you into the deep end. My head keeper, Nancy Jones, will be lending a helping hand. Oh, she's a hard worker, and she'll expect you to be too. But I'm sure you'll get along like a house on fire, or even better, one that isn't on fire. Less shouting that way.
So that was the introduction by Bernie Goodwin.
Hello there. From that rosy, fresh face of yours, I'm guessing you're Bernie's new hire. Good. Now, I hope you're ready to ditch your diploma, because we're about to get really hands-on. But before we begin the real work, how about we familiarize you with the zoo by learning how to fly around it and visiting some of our beautiful animals. We'll start by popping over and having a look-see at the grizzly bears in their habitat. Did you know that grizzly bears, also known as Ursus arctos horribilis, can hibernate for up to 7 months a year?
No, I didn't,
But then again,
Nancy.
given the chance, I think a lot of people would do that too. Select one of the bears and you'll bring up its information panel.
Let's see, let's select you, Zachary.
This is where you can find out all kinds of information about your animal. The most important thing being its overall welfare. You'll learn more about animal welfare today as we go through your objectives. But for now, let's enjoy this magnificent animal. Why don't you select the camera at the bottom of its information panel?
I'm sorry guys, I just quickly had to change some settings to hopefully make the still quite bad, to be fair. No, not save. I'll be back in a minute. So I'm back. My FPS won't really be that good on this world, I guess. But it is quite a large world, so it's pretty much it is that. Oh, look at a bear.
See now, this is a fantastic way to get a close look at your animals. You can also get this view of an animal by simply double-clicking on it.
Okay. So this or double click
Okay,
it?
when you're ready, let's pop over to the other side of the zoo and take a look at the lions. I've marked their location for you to find.
Sure, Nance, sure. So wait, so I just real quickly, so I can do that what I just did. Mate, you alright? One moment. Cool. So guys, so pretty much, so I'm back. I quickly had to take a screenshot. So locate the West African lion habitat. Where are they? Are they like in here?
Panthera leo leo, or the West African lion to you and me. Lions are the most social of the big cats, and there can be as many as 40 lions in a pride, although prides of that size are pretty rare. As Bernie would say, those lions are awesome, which is precisely why I handle the training instead these days. Anyway, how about we get started on those objectives? Come on, let's head over to an empty habitat and see what needs doing there.
So an empty habitat, where is it? Where? Hello, where are you? There it is.
As you can see, it's a lovely space for animals, but it's missing a certain something. Well, two somethings. Warthogs.
Wow.
So I'd like you to adopt a pair of them. To adopt animals, we need to open the animal market, which is in the animal trading section.
So animal trading. Yes. Adopt and adopt.
There we are, a pair of perfectly splendid warthogs for our zoo. Just click on them and select Adopt from the side menu. Normally the animal exchange would be full of animals, but I've emptied out the market while you learn how it works. The last thing I need is you accidentally ordering a dozen elephants.
So I have those two warthogs.
When you adopt an animal, it's automatically placed in the trade center, where they're held until you're ready to move them into their habitat, which, as it happens, you are. So how about you move them into their new home? When you ask for an animal to be moved into a habitat, your caretakers will go to the trade center, collect your animal, and deliver them to your selected habitat. I've marked the trade center's location, so let's go and watch the caretakers in action.
Where is that freaking trade center? You sure you marked it, Nance? Oh, there.
Well, as you can see, those caretakers don't hang about. They'll move those animals to their destination as fast as possible. Of course, normally we'd have to place the animals into quarantine before moving them into a habitat. But I am assured by a person of good standing that these warthogs are in the very rudest of health. Right, let's get the warthog's habitat finished up so we can keep them nice and happy.
Sure,
You see,
Nance.
each animal in the zoo has an overall welfare statistic, basically how happy they are. And that overall welfare statistic is itself comprised of 4 different areas: nutrition, social health, habitat, and enrichment. Luckily, if you select an animal, you'll bring up their animal welfare information panel, which we saw earlier, where you can see how they're doing. That way, you'll know exactly what areas need to be addressed. Don't worry if that's a lot to remember. You can always check the Zoopedia for more information. Let's start by making sure we're taking care of the warthog's nutrition welfare. To do this, we'll need to place a food station and a drinking station. Now, each animal requires a different type of feeding station. And for the warthogs, it's a small feeding
I'm sorry,
trough.
guys.
So let's add one of those.
Oh wow,
and
he's
a water
still
bowl.
talking. I'm sorry. Just quickly making a screen. Just quickly. Snapping a bit of good screenshot. Yes. So back to you, Nance. So They are going to get delivered anytime now. Can I take screenshots now? No. What's this? So. My friend. Look at me. Hey. Hello. Look up. Thank you very much. Just quickly taking a screenshot of you. Sorry, like, yeah. So guys, let's just quickly do this. Feeding station. Are just some things I've downloaded from the workshop. Just like this thing you can place your information panel on, but for now, habitat, food and water, no, enrichment items. So what is we have to place? Feeding trough. I really don't know how to pronounce it. Like in there. Water.
Animals also require stimulation to keep them happy. Let's add a lovely mud bath for the warthogs to roll around in.
A mud bath.
That bath will count towards their enrichment welfare, specifically
like
their toy enrichment welfare. Oh,
yes.
Nice work. You've got a knack for this, I see. Now, our contractor had to leave in a hurry, so this place is in a feral state. Unfinished thingamajigs and whatsits all over the shop. But the first thing we need to finish is the ostrich habitat. It's over near the hippos.
Where? Oh, in here, yes.
Oh, before we actually start building our ostrich habitat, let's pause the game. Just click the pause button in the bottom right corner.
Oh, a sprinkler. Wow, that's nice.
That's more like it. A quick break. Sometimes it's a good idea to pause the game whilst you're doing something which requires your concentration. Because it'll stop the zoo spinning out of control while you're looking the other way. Let's keep the game paused while we get this ostrich habitat built.
Complete boundary.
Okay. Job number 1 here is to add a habitat gate before we complete the barrier. Every habitat needs a habitat gate. After all, how else would the keepers get in and out? Just make sure it's hooked up to the path so the keepers can reach it.
So this is how it curves.
Right. Let's complete the perimeter barrier so we can adopt us some ostriches. I've marked out an area for you to use, so I'd like you to finish off the perimeter using the brick barrier.
It needs to like...
Good work! Here. Remember, before you can place animals in any habitat, it has to have a full loop of connected barrier.
Sounds good.
Now, you've probably noticed that guests can't actually see into this habitat at the moment. At least not without a stepladder. But seeing as they're banned, I'd like you to select a piece of barrier and swap out the brick for a glass barrier, so the guests can see in.
One piece of brick, just... You know what I'm... More digging? Oh, no. Like... I think maybe to just like select
There we go. Adding in more windows gives guests even more opportunities to see the animals in a habitat. It's always best to make sure the guests can get a good view into a habitat from the path they're walking on, because it makes them happy, and because this would be a pretty terrible zoo if they couldn't. The last thing we need to do is to add a donation box. You see, when guests enjoy the view of an animal, they'll make a donation. Just make sure you put them in easy-to-reach places, like near a viewing point. Donation boxes are one of the main sources of income for the zoo, so make sure you remember them.
A donation, but jeez, man, they are ugly. Of
By
course,
the way,
I
as
already
well as
knew.
pausing the game, you can speed the game up by clicking on the fast forward button. It'll run everything at 2 times and 5 times faster. It can be useful, especially if you're waiting for money to accumulate or for animals to be delivered to your habitat. Personally, I use it when I'm waiting for a brew to finish. All right, you've finished the habitat, so it's high time we adopted those ostriches, don't you think? Let's get 4 of them in here.
Let's just quickly make this thing a bit less like as ugly as they are right now. So guys, I was just really messing with the thing. It didn't work out at all. In here, you are ours, you are ours, you are ours, you are ours. Do they need to be in quarantine first, or can I like say this?
While we wait for them to be collected by the caretakers and brought to the habitat, you should get it ready for them. Add a suitable feeding station, water station, and an appropriate food enrichment item. It's often best to place things like enrichments and feeding stations near to the habitat perimeter, so guests can get a really good view of the animals.
Yes, and then what if we have to food enrichment, a slow feeder. Like, let's place the slow feeder next to this tree. We got bronze.
Oh, good to see the ostriches have somewhere they can really stretch their legs. Did you know they can actually run at 43 miles per hour? Oh, heaven forbid they ever escape. The speed camera fines alone would bankrupt us.
Oh, the train, wow. Bye, train. But
Well, Bernie certainly seems impressed. Did he do his speed camera joke? Every time we get an ostrich. So, now we've made the ostriches' lives a bit better, let's do the same for the keepers, shall we? To make it easier for the keepers to feed the ostriches and hippos, we should build a new keeper hut. Keeper huts are where the keepers prepare the food for animals, so they should be placed near to the habitats to make sure the keepers don't waste their time walking when they should be looking after the animals.
I know this, guys. You don't have to like teach me how.
You'll need to rotate the keeper hut to get it to connect up to the path.
Oh. I quite fucked up. Let's try this again. So you're telling me it isn't working like this better?
This keeper hut only has space for one keeper, but the larger keeper hut can allow multiple keepers to prepare food at the same time. Oh, but bear in mind that keeper huts and other staff facilities shouldn't be placed near to areas where there are lots of guests. Guests don't like seeing facility buildings, and it can affect their happiness negatively. In case that wasn't clear. Something that all facilities, shops, and a whole host of other objects need is power, and that obviously includes your newly built keeper hut. So let's place a transformer next to it, shall we?
Oh, sorry. Let's power the hut. Power transformer.
Now, the reason everything has gone blue is because you're using the power heat map. This map allows you to see what is and what isn't powered in your zoo. So once you've placed your transformer, you can click in the bottom left to turn the heat map off. Lovely work. Now the keepers can start using the hut to prepare food, and thanks to where you've put it, they won't need to walk very far to deliver it to the ostriches and hippos.
So
Let's get on to your next objective then. Bengal tigers. We want to adopt some, but I'm afraid there's nothing ready for them yet. Head on over to the plot of land I've marked out. It's not too far away.
locate the highlighted area. Where is it? Oh, in here. Wait, are we allowed to-
Righty, your next job is to build a habitat from
Yes.
scratch.
Yes.
And concrete and glass, I expect. So, go ahead and build it. Just make sure that the habitat includes that big hole we've dug. Oh, and don't forget to
Oh,
add a
yeah.
habitat gate to the
course.
barrier. Oh, and make sure the guests will be able to see the tigers. Now, Bernie takes safety very seriously at his zoos, so we should probably make sure those tigers can't jump out of their habitat, don't you think? The way we'll do it is by changing the height of the habitat's barrier. Okay then, you should start by double-clicking the habitat barrier, which will take you into barrier editing mode.
Okay.
Great. Now highlight the entire perimeter of the habitat. You can do that by clicking and dragging the barrier selection tool.
I'm fine with this.
Now that the habitat is in place, don't forget to put down a donation box near to your viewing areas. We need every dollar we can get. Especially as these tigers aren't exactly eating instant noodles for lunch.
That is quite true.
Okay, that's the habitat boundary complete, the habitat gate's in place, and most importantly, the tigers won't be able to jump out of it anymore. I think it's time we adopted those tigers.
So we have them. So we have adopted them. Right. Now let's bring them to their habitat. Move.
Whilst our trusty caretakers collect and deliver the tigers, let's take a look at preparing the habitat for their arrival. We'll start with the basics. Add a suitable feeding station for them.
Large food tray.
This time, instead of adding a water bowl, let's try something different.
Tray.
Some animals need a pool in their habitat so they can go for a swim, but they can also use it to drink from. All you have to do is make sure the banks of the pool have a gentle slope so they can easily get a nice, refreshing drink. There's already a pool excavated, but you still need to fill it with water. You should do that by going into terrain and selecting the water tool.
There he is, look.
Yes, that'll do nicely. Of course, just like the warthogs and
Hey,
ostriches,
mate.
these tigers will also need some enrichment. Why don't you add some suitable toy and food enrichment items into their habitat?
Hey mate, how are you? So, let's run again. Place a toy and food enrichment, frozen blood pumpkin. Ooh, that sounds real nice. Okay, like. Maybe like placing it in there. Toy enrichment, a rubbing pad. Oh, that one looks nice. That one looks quite nice as well. Not now. For gosh, seriously, you crash? You kidding me, right? So it was at this moment my game crashed, so I had to restart. So let's quickly start over.
Lovely work. Now the keepers can start using the hut to prepare food, and thanks to where you've put it, they won't need to walk very far to deliver it to the ostriches and hippos. Let's get on to your next objective then. Bengal tigers. We want to adopt some, but I'm afraid there's nothing ready for them yet. Head on over to the plot of land I've marked out, isn't...
You kidding me? Seriously? Oh no. So I lost my progress. So guys, basically what I will do is I will do this in my own time. I will finish this silver, and then for gold, I don't know if I'm going to do it maybe on a stream or something, but not right now. So guys, this was the episode for today. I hope you guys have liked it, and make sure to subscribe for more Planet Zoo content, because I will be doing one episode of career mode and one episode of franchise, and sometimes just random sandbox speedballs. But just anyway, guys, like I've already said, please like. It really means a lot to me, because it just really shows me that you guys appreciate my video and the time that I take to make these videos. So please don't forget to like, and just simply, if you're down there, don't forget to subscribe, and till the next episode, bye.